Hey, all, my name is Bryant Young.
And Derek Chaney.
Here with the Decent Dads Podcast, brand new episode.
That's right. Another fun one. I think we probably laughed more in this episode.
Yeah, this one was a lot of fun, man.
Than we have in a while.
This one was a blast.
Yeah, Mitch Jenkins, man, a longtime friend of mine. I know you know him too as well, Bryant, but man, he was awesome.
Yeah, we had a good time. We talked a lot about his podcast. We talked about his little sassy girls, as he called them.
Yeah, but
and also sports and some other things too.
He had a lot of great stuff about his parenting style, how him and his wife handle certain situations that I think a lot of dads can really take away from that.
Yeah,
right?
we think you guys are going to find a lot to relate to in this one.
Absolutely.
Sure. I think we jump right into this.
Let's do it, man.
All right. Decent Dads Podcast. Here we go. Welcome back to the Decent Dads Podcast. We're here to tell dad jokes, drink coffee, and build a community of dads navigating fatherhood together. I'm Bryant Young, fearless leader, co-host, girl dad, and your friendly local insurance agent based out of Springfield, Missouri. And now, before we get started on today's episode, please help me welcome the coolest co-host with the most, a fantastic soon-to-be father of three, and the home loan expert. Folks, put your hands together and welcome the incomparable Mr. Derek Chaney. How are you, Derek?
Yeah, doing good. I think Mitch wants an introduction like that too.
Too bad.
I wish I had like a mascot suit on and a trampoline, and I would go jump through a basketball hoop.
It gets you going.
All the lights come down, the
Gets you
spotlights
going.
come on. Bulls in the 90s kind of intro.
Man.
I need to step up my podcast introduction.
Your next guest. That's what we expect out of you, Mitch.
Please don't do that. It hurts my
Oh
throat.
my gosh! Can you imagine if I love it. I love it.
Just see the reaction on your guest's face.
I'm driving over here. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's-
it
it's-
This is gonna be a
That's
good
the goal.
time.
we're not super
Cool.
serial around here.
Yeah, man. But no, it's a good day for a good day, like
a good
normal,
day.
But I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one.
about this episode because I was thinking on the drive over here. I was like, Mitch might actually be the guest that I've known the longest out of all of our guests.
Oh, yeah, nice. Okay, I'm into
'Cause
this.
me and Mitch go way back to, let's see, I was a sophomore in high school, so like 16. Mitch was, probably freshman, probably 15.
Sweet.
And
That's
I was
awesome.
like, that's almost 20 years ago.
Let's not talk about
And as I say that, I'm like,
don't
I
look
sound
that old.
really old. Okay. So we'll just go into Mitch. We know you pretty well. Some people might not. So if you will, introduce yourself. Tell us, what you do. Give us your dad resume. Tell us how many kids you got. What are their ages? And we'll go from there.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for having me. So much fun. So, well, yeah, I mean, I think Mitch Jenkins, I'm a real estate investor developer. Do you want me to look at the camera? Do you want me to look at you guys?
You do
What's
you,
like,
man.
I mean,
Whatever you're
we've just
comfortable
been having a conversation, so if you want to just have a conversation with us, that works.
Sounds good.
It's almost like the people on the internet aren't here.
Yeah, I love it. So,
What do I do with my hands?
yeah, you ain't first, you're last. Dude, yeah, no, we've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Did we play basketball? Okay, so I played basketball my freshman year at Hillcrest.
Yeah. So, yeah, we would have played basketball
And
together.
then football,
Then
obviously.
football.
Yeah.
Dude,
Yep.
wicked wide receiver.
Oh, go figure.
And you had like never played football before, right? And
Right,
then
up
all of
till
a sudden,
junior year. Yep.
That's called.
guy's
that's
never
called
played
corn-fed
football.
strength, baby.
all of a sudden
corn-fed.
decides to play football, and he's going up and just like Randy Moss and people. And it was
I
pretty
wish.
fun.
I
It was
wish,
cool.
yeah.
Well, he was this size when he was 16 years old, so that doesn't surprise me at
That
all.
would have helped a lot if I was this size. I was a beanpole.
Beastly.
Yeah.
No, so we've known each other a long time. It's cool
Yeah.
to be here. But yeah, Mitch Jenkins, I'm a real estate investor, developer, entrepreneur, dad. I've got two little girls. Stella's 3, June is just turned 1. Married to Amanda.
There you
She is an absolute rock star and puts up with me daily and all my crazy ideas and all the stuff that I want to do, and I'm all over the place. But yeah, man, super blessed, and I'm a girl dad, and it's fantastic.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome. Good for you, man.
Also, have your own podcast as well.
I
as
also
we've
have my
hinted at.
so real estate investor, entrepreneur,
Yeah.
new podcaster, if that's the right word.
Episode 5,
something like that.
6,
Yeah.
something just came out. Yeah,
Yeah, so we've recorded more than we've released because I'm like, listen, I want to like
I
get
that.
ahead
Get
of
it in
it.
the can,
So,
sure.
Right. Yeah.
We resemble that remark.
so when life happens and I'm not able to get somebody in the studio one week, at least I've got one to another arrow in
Oh,
my
yeah.
quiver. So, episode 5 of the Rise podcast.
Yeah.
And so we talked to predominantly entrepreneurs, but anyone who's just wanting to excel in life. And we bring guests on, have them share their origin story with the hope of inspiring and encouraging them to, like, by being in proximity to these super high achieving entrepreneurs who have built these monster businesses, they'll realize, like, oh wow, this is a normal person.
Right.
Hopefully with the intention of stepping into all that they ultimately were created for, that they maybe didn't realize they were even capable of, right? Because we all have, like, limiting beliefs and stuff going on.
Right.
So
Sure.
that you've asked, new podcast host, that's my podcast. And I'm just trying to figure it out. I have no idea what I'm doing. Except
We still don't.
Just for the record, this is year 2 for us. We still don't know.
okay, well, perfect. I'm in good company. Yeah, it's just like you just start, right? And like you'll figure it out. And we were talking before the podcast is like just have fun with it, learn to enjoy the process, and stay consistent, and good stuff happens.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, and the hardest part about doing a podcast is starting a podcast.
100%.
No doubt, because I had 3 ideas for one before he had the
Can
idea
you
for
share
this
what they were?
I mean, at a later date.
Oh man.
They were some good ideas.
You're like, I'm going to refer
it's
it's actually the Rise podcast. This is not the Decent Dads podcast.
Just kidding.
Well, the one that I had was,
Hijacking this.
they were bad. We'll put it. Suffice it to say. Speaking of bad, our children have tantrums and they are bad. How about that for a transition?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, let's go for it.
We got to talk about tantrum of the day, and we joked about it ahead of time because tantrums aren't a weekly occurrence at this point in our lives. It's a daily thing. So, what kind of tantrum have you been dealing with lately? Anything specific stand out?
All of them.
Yeah, all of them.
So it's more like a tantrum hour. Like every hour, what's the no? So I mean, listen, when we found out we were having Stella, and that we were having a girl, I remember thinking to myself, like, I want her to be this strong, confident, independent, sassy girl. And I got all of it.
Congratulations.
Times 2. And I'm so thankful that she's all of those things, right? And June, our youngest, now granted, she's 1, not 3, but you can definitely tell there's a difference in their temperament.
Oh, yeah.
But Stella's tantrums, I just have to realize, like, she's just trying to figure this out, and like, I don't at all want to break her will by like having to win every single thing. Like, I want to foster that feisty spirit in her. And so, like, what's the tantrum of the day? It's like literally, oh, you wanted to open up the Capri Sun, not me. So I find myself on everything like, okay, do you want to open the refrigerator so you can get the grapes, or do you want me to? Do you want to put the grape in your mouth, or do you want me to put it in your mouth?
Let me get permission first.
Yeah, and I'm like, what am I doing? I'm negotiating, like, how to open up. Do you want rainbow goldfish or regular goldfish? Do you want me to use scissors to open it, or open it with my hands? It's just like, what is happening?
Cheese sticks. Ours are cheese sticks in this house. Do you want the cheese stick open, or do you want to open it? If I get to open it, do you want me to open it halfway, or do you want me to open it all the way? Do you want me to open it all the way but leave it in the plastic, or do you want me to take it all the way out?
It's 100%.
Do you want me to rip it in half? Do you want me to pull it into strings? Oh my god.
Yeah.
How particular little kids can be. It's like,
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
why?
But
Why?
what I really heard you say though was, just like the rest of us, you're a competitive person. And so your brain probably goes to the same place my brain goes, where it's like, no, I said we're going to do it this way. We're going to do it this way.
Yes.
And you don't have to do that, because we don't have to win.
Yes.
I know we really, really want to, but we don't have
Pick
to.
and choose
Yes.
your battles.
It's okay.
Right?
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%, right?
I mean, we don't need to
because
battle
otherwise
that.
we're going to just be duking it out
The
all
entire
day
time,
over
nonstop.
rainbow goldfish or regular goldfish. And it's like I'll open up the goldfish and then she'll be like, no, I wanted Cheez-Its. I could easily be like, no, I'm dying on this hill. You're eating these goldfish. But it's like, you know what? If those goldfish don't get eaten and you just eat the Cheez-Its, then
I get goldfish, and we're going to move on.
I guess I eat the goldfish. It will be fine.
At the end of the
Whatever.
day, is it a big deal?
Yeah, no, not at
whatever.
all. These coffees are brought to you by our friends at Buff Studio, the official coffee sponsor of the Decent Dads podcast. Buff Studio is a full-service architecture, engineering, and design firm with offices in Bentonville, Arkansas, and Springfield, Missouri. Learn more at buffstudio.co. Thanks, Buff Studio, for your support of the podcast and Decent Dads everywhere. Buff Studio, be a buffalo. What about you, DC? What kind of tantrums are you dealing with?
Well, I know you both probably thought that I was trying to have some sort of fashion statement by wearing this shirt.
You
to the
look
podcast.
really good.
Yeah, well, thank you, you, Mitch. That's so nice. But actually,
okay.
it's the reason for my tantrum. Is this particular shirt?
Oh, is this round 2 for a T-shirt for this afternoon?
Oh my gosh, no. Actually,
spit up on or something.
luckily we're past that phase. But no, over the weekend, the boys woke up and we were playing and whatnot. And it's time to change out of the jammies and get into clothes. And Liam, he looks at me and he's like, I want to wear that shirt. And so I'm like, I interpret that as, oh, you want to wear a green shirt, right?
Sure.
So luckily he has a shirt that's like the same color green as this one. And so I'm like, oh, perfect. I was like, we'll go get that. We'll put it on. So I grab it, put it on him. He like looks down at it, pulls it out, and he's like, no, I want that shirt. And I'm like,
You're back
Off your
now.
back. Let's go.
and I'm like you want to wear Dad's shirt? And he's like, yeah. And I'm just like, dude, like, no, like, it's going to be dragging on the floor. It's going to be a dress on you. Just loses it. Drops to the floor, loses it. It was a meltdown for about 10 minutes. And I'm just like, that was a hill that I died on, Mitch, just so you know. I did not take my shirt off and let him wear it. But he soon got over it, and we were good.
And
but I'm
now
just like,
he's got a green
but like,
champion.
well,
exactly.
You're in the mail right now from Amazon.
Yeah.
Did you buy one?
No.
Oh,
I haven't.
wow.
I know what I'm sending to his house.
Yeah.
But it's like he had never acknowledged his shirt before in his life, and he still hasn't since then.
Yes.
But for whatever
Yeah.
reason that day, he really wanted that shirt.
Dude. And so it resonates because like Stella, she wants to wear high heels with her jeans. And it's just like, you
nice.
know what?
So
like
funny.
you
3-year-old
just
rocking the high heels.
dude,
Yeah.
oh man. And she like, but then she'll put that on, and then right as we're trying to get out the door, she's like, you know what? No, I want the dress and my Ugg slippers. And it's like, no, it's 20 degrees out.
Yeah.
We can't wear the Ugg slippers. She's like, no, I'm going to wear the Ugg slippers. I'm like, you're not wearing the Ugg slippers. And she ends up wearing the Ugg slippers
Guess
most
what
of
we're
the time.
wearing?
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to fight you about what shoes you're wearing.
Just wear the red Ugg slippers, babe.
Right.
Just
I've gotten to the point we bought a pair of like Ugg boots like from 2006 going to a Springfield high school Ugg boots, and she is obsessed with them, and we're happy with that because she can wear those out of the house. She wears them 5-6 days a week.
That's
It's the
awesome.
same shoes, but it's like fine, whatever.
Yeah.
As long as we got something we can wear, we're good.
Right.
Uh,
So
100%.
we went to.
You just need clothes on when you leave.
Right.
Like,
right.
At the end
As
of
long
the
as
day,
they're clothed.
yeah, if you got clothes on, we're good.
we talked about this with Skylar Henson, where it was like, I'm not going to be that parent whose kid dresses like a schlub when they go out of the house. Like, I'm very particular about that. I don't like wearing t-shirts outside of my house. Like, I'm weird about that. But that was one of those things that I was like very prepared. Like, no, my daughter will be dressed up when we leave the house. Bullshit. I mean,
Her hair's going to be
half
fixed
the time
every time.
it's sweatpants. The hair thing has been a particular
kills
struggle
me.
for me because like I try real hard to get her hair done, and
Do you do the hair?
I can do it.
Yeah.
It's not very good, but she just immediately will reach up and just go and just yank whatever's out of her
Dude,
hair.
Mitch,
Whatever's in it, out of
Elsie
it.
has the best Joe Dirt mullet you've ever
Oh
seen in
my
your
god,
life.
it's so good.
I can't wait.
Like
to see
it grows, like the front of her hair's down to about here,
Yeah.
but then it stops dead, like just behind, like just in front of her ears, and then it goes straight down into full length past her shoulders. But it's just
Rocking
natural
it.
growth.
I love
She
it.
hasn't had a haircut yet. It's just natural growth. It's ridiculous.
That is awesome.
So we went to El Maguey for dinner a couple of nights ago, and when was the last time you guys saw a quarter machine in like the lobby
like
of a
candy?
restaurant?
Like to get candy out of?
Like
At a restaurant, it's
canned-
been a while. At the Battlefield
Yeah.
Mall,
They've got
I'm not
some
going to
of them.
hijack your story. I'm going to tell
No,
a
yeah,
story
you're good.
after yours.
No, well, I hadn't seen one of those in forever, but Elsie immediately found the first one I had ever seen in Springfield because we were at El Maguey, and she immediately goes, "What is that? And why are there little mini puppies in there?" So it's like these little tiny plastic puppies that are, I mean, literally the size of your fingernail,
Okay.
a little
Right.
tiny, but we were definitely going to have those, and I was like, I don't really want to do that, and I definitely don't have 50 cents in hard currency in my pocket.
Who does?
My wife,
My
had
the
50
grandparents.
Right.
do.
Right, yeah.
Right.
Liv had 50 cents in her purse.
Oh,
So
wow.
she whipped out 50 cents. We put it in there, and she was so excited. It was the little plastic bubble
Oh, yes.
with the little dog on it, and we played with it. I swear to God, we got home, and 38 seconds after we walked inside the house, the dog disappeared.
Oh, no.
It was gone. She dropped it. She left it sitting somewhere. We took our eyes off it for half a second. Gone. Because it's this big.
Right.
Go figure. Hysterics ensued for 2 hours. Where did my puppy go?
Right.
Where's my puppy go?
Why'd you throw away my puppy?
I didn't touch it. I don't have no idea. I would love
What'd
for
you
to
do
have
with
this
it?
But you
back.
could buy her like a $500 present for Christmas and want nothing to do with it. But
Right.
that 50-cent puppy is like everything.
And the box that the
the trick.
$500 box or the $500
There you
present
go.
came in, way more important.
oh, 100%. 100%.
What was your story about the mall?
So I grew up going to the Battlefield Mall, and it was just like so much fun for me as a kid.
Oh,
well,
yeah?
so my parents, Mimi and Papa, take Stella and June to the mall, and when they do, Stella always likes to go to the little coin, little machines that have like gumballs. What you're talking about?
Yeah.
And if I take her, I don't have hard currency on me.
No.
And so what I inevitably let her do, and she does without me prompting her, is literally go to every single one and look inside. And she usually finds like one straggler, like lemon drop or something.
That's been in there for 3 weeks.
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? You've been doing this for 3 years. You're gonna live.
Exactly. Listen,
Hasn't
these are the
hurt
kind
you
of
yet.
germs. It's like the Dwight
It'll be
Schrute
okay.
thing, right? Like, just rub some dirt on your hands, you'll be fine. It's not that big a deal.
Yeah. So that might be a good dad hack. Just let your kids eat old candy, and their immunity will just
Bo free.
be so
Nice.
good.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, Mitch, that's the next thing we always ask everybody is, what's a good maybe dad hack
Dad hack alert!
that you implement with your kids, or maybe what's some good dad advice that somebody has given you, over the years that that you thought was really good and you want to share with some
Yeah.
people?
So dad hack for me is having both sets of grandparents in Springfield.
Preach. Just say it
Right.
again, but a little bit louder for the people in the back.
That is
because that's the truth.
so the dad. If you can't hear me, no. So I had no idea before having kids. Like,
Right.
it was always nice having like family in town, but like to have built-in babysitters that you trust and that are like show up and are consistent, like, is amazing, right? So like that's not a practical hack for someone who doesn't have their parents or
course,
grandparents.
yeah.
in
Move
town. So
closer,
It was like,
schmuck.
oh, great. Okay, thanks. This Mitch guy is a complete bust. I mean, no valuable dad material.
Yeah. But I mean,
That's
but
the thing
but
for
who do
me,
you
yeah.
trust more with your kids than the people that raised you, right?
know.
Like,
Well, and it's a different feeling too, right? Because your parents are, generally excited to like be with your kids, not because you're paying them to be with
and
your
they're free,
kids.
and they're
And
free,
they're
Yeah,
free. It's
free.
like
It's free.
It's
You
just
don't
like
have
it's
to
a
pay 'em.
different
It's free.
feeling dropping your kids off with your parents
Yeah.
as opposed to a babysitter.
for sure. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
do you have you had to hire an outside babysitter yet? We haven't.
We have not.
Yeah,
Oh,
we haven't
really?
either.
I mean, like,
for you guys.
so you're like, oh, great, way to go.
He can drive them to Humansville.
He's like, yeah, I'm leaving. So, Amanda, when we were in college and we started dating, I very much thought like after college, I'm going to go to some big city, climb the corporate ladder and do
Right.
that thing.
Play that game,
Because
sure.
that was just, I don't know. I got some of the best parents in the world. They're music teachers. They, gave me everything they possibly could have. But I didn't, like, entrepreneurship wasn't a part of anything that I grew up like understanding. So like that was just what I perceived as like the only option. And Amanda's like, no, we're staying in Springfield. And so I thought to myself like, oh, okay, how can I manipulate this situation?
How do I make the best out of this?
So
Yeah, there you go. That's
I'm
a
like,
little better
okay,
wording.
yeah, I'm like, okay, what's the real word?
Positive spin, baby.
Yeah. So I think to myself, like, okay, well, they offer free counseling at Evangel, and let's go see counselor Reba, and Reba will sit down with me and Amanda, and ultimately, Reba will help Amanda understand that she's supposed to go to whatever city I end up going to.
This lady I don't know is definitely going to be on my side.
Yeah, for sure.
How far away
This
did you guys
complete
move?
stranger is definitely going to see the same thing I see. We're going for it.
Yeah,
Let's
like
go.
19-year-old, just completely naive Mitch is like, Reba's definitely gonna agree with me.
So good.
So after like 4 counseling sessions, I'm like, okay, 4th one, this is it. This is where Reba like
My
drops
time's
the
coming.
bomb for Amanda. Like she's coming to New York City, and Reba's like, well, it's been so nice getting to meet you guys, and it just looks like you might not be meant to be together, and Mitch, you go travel and do whatever, and Amanda will be in
shit.
Springfield. And I'm
Whoa,
thinking,
hold up.
thinking to myself, like,
It's not what you did it wrong.
you need to be fired. I'm calling my mom who teaches at Evangel, and she's going to get you fired now. I just remember thinking to myself, like, okay, well, that did not work. So then
Option
next step, option 2 for Mitch is like, this is so funny. Option 2 is like, all back to like the grandparents thing.
Yeah,
but like,
sure.
Option 2 is like, okay, well that backfired. So we're gonna break up. And then after a few weeks, Amanda will realize that she's supposed to come to New York City with me. 2 weeks, 3 weeks
19-year-old
passed.
you was a bad idea machine,
I know,
man.
right?
You're just a bad idea machine.
And Amanda and I have been together for like a year up to this point. Like we've been together for a while. Like,
Yeah.
And so,
Especially when you're 19, a year is far.
yeah, I might have been 20, but I
20,
was
but
young.
still.
Yeah.
Close
But
enough.
still.
So I'm like, okay, well, we'll break up. I know that I can't break up with her and really break up with her, but I'm thinking like if I break up with her and make her think that we're
Yeah.
breaking up, that she's gonna maybe give in before I know I'm gonna give in.
Yeah, because I'm going to have to come back.
Yeah.
Like, I can't lose this, girls. I'm going to have to come back unless she
So a couple weeks passed by. Somehow I came across a guitar that I thought I was going to learn how to play the guitar. I'm like, this sad.
This story
Mitch.
just keeps getting better and better.
So I like start learning to try and play the guitar, and after like 2 or 3 weeks, I'm like, who am I kidding? This isn't working. I'm like, I guess I'm staying in Springfield. And I'm honestly, though, I laugh at the story now, but I'm so glad that I stayed in Springfield.
Oh, yeah.
Like, one, having both sets of grandparents in town, being close to my siblings, Amanda's siblings, like, it's amazing. I can't put a value on that. I can't, like, I had no idea that the dad hack that was going to be.
Sure.
But it's also, it's just funny to reflect on young me trying to like,
Dude,
Think you know everything.
trying to make life
yeah.
decisions at 20 is never a good idea. I
Yeah.
Thanks,
totally get you.
Reba.
So,
If you're
yeah,
still,
come on,
I'm just
Reba.
kidding.
So
If you're
funny,
still
dude.
counseling,
I love that
Great
so
singer,
much.
terrible counselor. Okay? Yeah. Gosh.
Mine was I'm gonna rip this straight from somebody on social media. I wish I had actually written down their handle, but I did not. So, but it was a dad and a mom that were talking about how they taught their kids who really like to interrupt. You know, you've got toddlers that there's no. The adults are talking, and the toddler comes up means the adults need to stop talking.
Dad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, that thing. But it's like Stewie Griffin, right? Like mom, mommy, mom. Yeah, that. So, but they taught their kid to, okay, if mom or dad are talking and you need to talk to them, come up and I want you to set your hand on my leg, set your hand on my arm, and that way I know you're here. And I know that you're, and I will place my hand on top of yours, and that's my way of saying, I hear you, I know you're here, we're gonna talk.
Wow.
I will answer you as soon as I'm done talking. And then their kids, I mean, obviously, that was not an overnight fix, I'm sure. I'm
I
sure
like
that
that.
took some time to work out, but they, just like you condition your kids to say thank you.
Yes.
It's just one of those things that they condition their kids to work on. So it's, hey,
That's good.
you can't, and it will translate later in life too, because it'll help them understand, you know, you're not supposed to interrupt people, whether
Yeah.
you're a kid or an adult, but this is
Yeah.
our way of saying, hey, I see you, I hear you, I know you're here, my hand's on top of yours. As soon as I'm done, I'm going to look to you and I'm going to get down on your level and I'm going to say, what's up, pal?
Yeah.
What can I do
I
for you?
love
What do you
that.
need?
Yeah.
And so I just thought that was pretty sweet. It's like, God, now I'm going to figure out how to make something like that work.
Yeah.
Because
Why can't I think
my,
of that?
my, you know, well, I think we've probably got the same daughter, just, you know, in different houses, because mine's also sassy as all hell and has nothing to do with what I actually ask her to do. So we're going to figure it out. But I really
Get
like
there.
that.
You can get
Just
there.
I've got an interrupter. So
love
that really
that.
hit home with me.
Yeah. No, that resonates. And yeah, I'm going to try that. I'm going to
Same.
give that
Yeah,
one a
same here.
good
Yeah.
college try. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, it'll take 5 years for it to work.
By the time she's 18, she'll figure it out. By the time she's out of the
Well,
house.
that time she won't let me hold her hand.
Yeah.
There'll be a whole different can of worms. What do you
Oh,
got,
She
man.
surely doesn't get that from her dad, does she?
Yeah, no, not at all.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
at all loud and obnoxious.
Yeah, mine's kind of like Mitch's. It's not that groundbreaking, but mine's more of advice too. Just, you know, trusting your dad intuition or your parent intuition or your gut, whatever you want to call it. Because, you know, we brought this up I think on our first episode of this season. Liam, you know, he got sick and he started walking with a limp, right? So we went to the doctor. They said, "Hey, it's strep. It's settled in his hip." So it gave him a limp.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'll
didn't
go.
know that was a thing.
I'll go into the long version with you in a little bit, Mitch. But yeah, so they gave him some medicine. He was good for
Okay.
about a week and a half. He starts walking with a limp again. We're like, what the heck? So they told us to give him like some ibuprofen or Motrin, something like that. And so that worked. And then it's like, man, it hits again. And he's like limping again. We're like, what in the world? And so we go to the doctor again. And this is like over like a 5-week, 6-week period. So it's like extended amount of time, right? So we go back to the doctor and they're like, you know what? Just give him some more medicine and, just call us if he starts limping again. And we're like, no, you told us that last time. Like,
this is so weird.
This is the third time we've been here. Like, we want X-rays and like blood work to, just to be safe.
You need to investigate a little further, please.
Right?
Yeah. Be your child's advocate.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And so got X-rays back. They came back clean. Got the initial blood work back, and it came back clean. But then there was like some more that they did additional testing, and we got that back like earlier this week. And they're like, some of these like inflammation markers popped up that they think it could be like, I think they call it like juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, or there's like several different names for it and like several different levels for it. And they're like, you're going to need to go see a specialist up in like St. Louis. Go check it out.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, okay, well, thank goodness that we like trusted our gut, and we're like, you know what? How about we check this out just a little bit further? Because me and Allie, like we had that conversation. We're like the first time you're like, I don't know what this is, right? It's something new.
I'm not a doctor. I'm listening to the doctors,
right? But then it's like the second time, both of us are like, man, like this just isn't right. Like something just doesn't quite feel right. And so yeah, man, just
trusting your
glad,
gut.
Glad we did that. So it's just
sure.
Just a reminder.
And I think every family is different. Amanda's dad was a nurse anesthetist at Mercy for 75,000 years.
Yeah.
45, like his entire career, 45 years. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's so cool.
him.
Greg is like one of the most, I've got the best, father-in-law ever.
Awesome.
That I could imagine. And so they're very aware of medical stuff. Like if something seems off, just like,
that's nice.
go check it out. Like,
why not?
Like even if your primary care physician's not offering for you to go see a specialist because they're like, it's just nothing. Like if you feel like there might be something, it's not going to hurt.
Right.
To go do like,
it can't hurt.
Whereas like, again, I got some of the best parents in the world, but like my dad would be like, no, that hernia,
Rub
that
some
is
dirt
fine.
on it.
Like my dad had a hernia for like 12 years before he finally was like,
Sleep it off. It'll be okay.
I've met the deductible. I might as well go get it fixed now. I'm like, dude, Dad, you haven't been able to like walk normal for like half of my life. No, it wasn't 12 years, but it was probably like a good like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of like, no, it'll be fine. And it's like, well, who knows?
Right.
Yeah, better
What
maybe
can it hurt?
safe than sorry.
So we talked a little bit about this ahead of time, but you kind of had some thoughts about your parenting style and setting an example for your girls. Because, like we were both, well, go figure, we were both little boys. And so we didn't have a bunch
I was a little boy. You were a little boy too.
Oh my goodness.
So was I.
Amazing.
You were a little boy too.
You were always a big boy.
I'm like Benjamin Button. I actually was born an old man.
But like our experience was little boys, and now we're both girl dads, and so the example is a little different, right?
Yeah.
We got to watch our dads raise us, and that's how we learned how to be a man. But kind of shifting that through the lens of how do you want to set the example for your daughters? And I wonder if you could talk a little bit about your style there.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm trying to figure out my style every day. I think like before you have children, you have it all figured out.
For sure.
Right? And then you have children, you're like
19-year-old Michigan, right?
19-year-old
Yeah.
dude, got this thing figured out. Thanks, Reba. Okay, so I think a few things come to mind, right? I want to show up.
Definitely.
Sadly, in today's society, so few fathers are present, right? I think so few, so many families are, it's just a single parent household. Life happens, and so I'm not trying to throw stones at all.
Sure.
But like those things make, life a little challenging for a kid.
100%. Yeah.
Right. And so I'm just so committed to like my marriage, and it's not perfect and there's flaws in it, but like the idea of me and Amanda not being together is not an option. Right.
Sure.
And so that being said, like, I think what was healthy for me as a child growing up seeing was that my parents had disagreements, but they ultimately resolved them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I got to see like, okay, mom and dad are disagreeing on something, but at the end of the day, there was no question in my mind that anyone was going anywhere.
Sure.
Like they were committed. And so I think that is something that Amanda and I have really worked on, is that like there will be disagreements, but we will, and we'd never yell. We don't raise our voice. Our cadence might change,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Like the tone might change
Right,
slightly.
yeah.
Listen, the heart rate gets up. The heart rate gets up. I speak fast. Leave me alone.
So like cadence, tone might change slightly, but like we're not going to yell, we're not going to scream, never going to physically, put our hands on our
Yeah.
wife. So Stella seeing mom and dad have a disagreement, but ultimately be able to reconcile and come together is huge. Because if Amanda and I would always step away or wait 3 days for the perfect opportunity to hash out that one thing, so much would build up that there would, it would just explode at some point.
Right.
One,
Sure.
But then two, if Stella and June never saw reality, which is people have disagreements, but they're still committed and they still love each other. They still see dad give mom a hug and kiss her and ask how she's doing. Then they would expect in their future marriage for there to never be an argument, which is not real.
Yeah.
And so it would just be setting them up for failure to try and keep them in this fairy tale world of like mom and dad never disagree. So
Right.
like, how do you
This
disagree?
isn't Disney.
And
I mean,
do
I
it
made
in
that
a
joke.
productive?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you disagree and do it in a productive way? One. So my parenting style is be present, show up. The words that we speak are incredibly important. Words are powerful. You speak life or death over a person with everything that you do. And so I very much want to be intentional with that. I think one of the things that my father did for me applies for any father, which is like, if anybody can do this, you can. Like dad would say that to me as a kid. And I remember being like, he would say it to me like on the baseball field before I was going to go pitch. And he was
Yeah.
first base coach. And it was so embarrassing because I'm like, Dad, my friends can hear you. Stop. Stop
Yeah.
it.
Give it a rest.
Yeah, stop. Seriously, shush. But now I realize, like, okay, and it's not an arrogant or prideful way, but those words like
Empowering.
penetrated my mind.
Yeah, it's
Right.
empowering.
If anybody can do this, you can. Now that doesn't mean like you can do it without putting in the work. It just means like if you put in the work and you set your mind to it and you believe that you're capable and you're worthy of doing the thing,
Sure.
you can do it. And I want to speak those same words over Stella and June and our, God willing, other kids, to come. And so words that you speak are powerful. I want my marriage to reflect, how a man should treat a woman, the stuff that you probably hear over and over and over again.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, just approaching it intentionally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I started to say this before. It's almost like we've heard this once before.
I want to hear it again.
Yeah,
Right? It was
exactly.
so good. We're gonna hear it
It
twice.
Please
they
tell
won't,
me
just us.
more.
No, but I mean, last year was the year of controlling what I can control, and
Yes.
this year is the year of intentionality.
Yeah.
And we started to talk about it in earlier episodes about turning off I have the app limit set on my phone now, screen time, where I caught myself flipping through Instagram and Facebook or whatever just because.
When you were in the room with the kids, kind of deal. Sure. So easy to do.
Because
Yeah.
it's addictive and
convenient.
it's
The girls are
designed-
playing,
and it's-
Liv's watching this, and I'm just
it's
going to scroll.
scrolling through stuff. But that was just me surviving. That was just me kind of going through the motions, not actually being intentional. Like, okay, I have to get until 7:30, and then it's bath time. So I will sit here and look at my phone until 7:30. It's like that's
Which is the default. Like
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the easy
It's
thing
so
to do.
easy,
Like
yeah.
so many of us
surviving.
can do that.
Yeah, but it's not doing me any good, and I'll probably continue talking about this every freaking episode because it was so heartbreaking to me. But Elsie walked over and grabbed my phone and pulled it out of my eye line and said, "Dad, pay attention."
Right.
And I was like,
Wow.
"Oh,
Yep.
yeah, yes, ma'am."
Look at me,
That's
I
Dad.
apologize.
Yep.
I tossed my phone across the room. It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
But like this year is the year of intentionality.
I love that.
That like we're going to be intentional in the way we are with our daughter, and I am going to be intentional with the way I am with my wife and my business. And instead of just going through the motions, we're going to be intentional about what we're
So
doing.
good,
So-
man.
And you were talking about setting the example for your kids. Like, I give my wife a tap on the ass, and Elsie comes by and gives her the same tap. So it's
there you go.
really just kind of what kind of example you're setting in your household. That's immediately where my
Do you
brain
want a
went.
bra mug behind you?
Listen,
Intentionality. Okay?
she's got two crazy, obnoxious parents. She's going to be a little obnoxious,
Oh,
and
that's
that's just
hilarious.
part of it.
Yeah.
Do you
I
do you
love
have a
it.
theme or anything going for this year for you two? We haven't really talked about
yeah,
that.
not really a theme, but man, I think the intentionality thing, Mitch hit the nail on the head with that when it came to disagreements, right? Like disagreements, they happen.
Mm-hmm.
they're healthy, they're okay.
Yeah.
But the important thing is how you handle them, because I think that's one thing that probably we're all guilty of. One thing leads to another, and we put it off, but then all those little things add up,
Yeah.
build
Sure.
up, ultimately blow up.
Yeah.
And so I love that you shared that part. And again, for the second time, that probably should have been your dad hack.
Well, it does sound a little repetitive, but Amanda's parents, I think I mentioned, I can't remember where it was.
Yeah, I know, right? For those watching, we didn't hit the red button at one point, so we've told some of this story twice.
So if you hear it a second time,
Right.
then
It's even better.
really important.
Take notes.
So, I don't have dementia.
Yeah.
Repeating. That Mitch guess, he told the same stories twice.
It's like in an hour. What's wrong with that guy?
That's funny.
So this is so funny. This is a good time.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, laughter is a good medicine.
Yeah,
for
right?
one.
Oh,
Okay.
God, I love it.
But I mentioned earlier that when 19-year-old Mitch was dating 19-year-old Amanda,
Mm-hmm.
Amanda grew up in a home where you do not go to sleep upset with each other. You don't
Yeah.
do that.
I
Like,
love
you
that rule, by the
resolve
way.
it.
Bed with a frown.
You resolve it before you go to bed. And 19-year-old Mitch was like, "What? No, I'm
tired.
I'm good. I'm tired. I got to wake up at 4:30 in the morning for weights. I'm good. Everything.
I got football practice.
Yeah.
I'm tired. Let's go to bed.
I'm yeah, we're fine." And I remember Amanda would not let me go to bed. She'd be blowing up my phone no, we're hop on the phone with me right now. It's past curfew at Evangel. 'Cause you can't stay out past a certain time. And I would
9:30 or something, right?
It was
know,
8.
who knows? Yeah. I think honestly it was probably 11:30 or something, which is still for a college student early.
Yeah.
But I remember it's so funny to think about Sharon, my mother-in-law. I would be on the phone with her multiple times a week. I'm like, Amanda will not let me go to bed.
Can you talk to her?
Yeah.
Can you talk some sense into this?
What is
woman?
happening? I don't get this. I want to go to sleep. I'm so glad though that early on in our relationship that was instilled, because generally speaking, it allows us to not have things build up.
Sure.
If something needs to be addressed, we address it, and we try and get past it as quickly as we can, and we try and learn and we try and grow from it. But I get really excited about all the things that I have going on.
Sure.
Right. And I'm passionate about it. I look forward to it. I like talking about the things I'm excited about.
Sure.
Right.
So sometimes you're okay, you know what? In order to deposit into my marriage and into Amanda's life, let me not talk about the million things I'm working on and excited about. And let me be hey, how's this going?
Yeah.
How's your friend? How's Christina? How's Rachel? What's going on in their lives? How are you feeling? How blah blah blah. Whatever the thing is. And at the end of the day, we had talked a little bit about sometimes you have to be selfish and take care of yourself so that then you can be the best husband and the best father. For me, it's physical activity. I need to run or work out most every day to fill that cup so that when I am, there at the house, I can be the best version of me for them.
Sure.
If I never fill my cup with the things that fill my cup, physical activity for me, I can't be the best dad because I'm going to be whatever. I'm not going to feel good about myself. So how can I be that for them? And
Right.
yeah, lots of stuff come to mind. But I'm trying to figure this thing
Well,
out.
and it's also that. What's the example? And I don't remember who brought it up, but it's the example of the oxygen mask in the airplane.
Yeah.
Right. If you weren't taking care of yourself
That's
first,
good.
then there's a reason why they say put your mask on before you put your kids.
Sure.
So good.
If you're if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're not getting the things that fill your cup, if you're not getting the things that you need, well, then you're just a half version of yourself
Absolutely.
to your kid, and then you're not setting the example because you're just going through life, kind of going through the motions.
No doubt.
So that's hard.
Yeah.
Gotta get that.
Yeah. And Mitch, you hit on it there a little bit, just how powerful words are. And I know this part wasn't recorded because we were talking about this before we started recording, was how you talk to your daughters and just how important the words you say to them and how you talk to them and their expectations or your expectations of them. But then too, also, you're a competitive guy, former athlete. All competitive former athlete guys want to have a son, right? And you don't want to put that idea in their head so that they feel less of themselves, right?
100%, man.
So hit on that for a little bit, because again, you said that before we started recording,
Yeah.
and that really hit a note with me.
Yeah. So my girls are more than enough.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. Like I am so thankful for them. Like if we, we would love to have more children, but if we never have another child, like Stella and June, like I'm so blessed.
It's a jackpot, right?
That's
Dude,
awesome.
I'm like so blessed, right? And what I would never want either of them to hear or think or feel from me is that they are not enough,
Right.
because they are more than enough.
Sure.
And I know that there are some fathers, to your point, where it's like, you're an athlete, like I was a quarterback, and how cool would it be if I had my little quarterback?
Right.
And then we're gonna go to the NFL.
Live
we're
my
gonna,
dreams through them.
like,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna live vicariously through them. And it's like, you know what? Like, would it be cool if Stella and June played sports? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
But if they don't want to play sports, like, and they want to do
okay.
whatever it is that they want to do, like, I'm gonna support and
Yeah, you're
love
gonna
and
be their
encourage
cheerleader,
them.
whether it's
Dude,
on the
I
sidelines
will
at a basketball.
give me the pom poms,
Yeah.
right?
Give me
Like,
the- all right.
I
Let's
will
go.
wear a tutu if you want me to. Like I am your biggest cheerleader. I believe 100% in you. Like you can do anything that you put your mind to. Like if you work hard, nothing is not possible. Like everything's possible. And if you put the work in, if anyone can do it, you can. And so I would never, because it's not true for me.
Right.
Want my girls to feel that they're not enough. I know dads where like if they don't have their son, I think it comes from like it really affects them. I think it
Yeah, it's an
probably comes
insecurity
from
thing.
it.
Yeah, that's
You
what
said
we
it,
talked
and I
about,
saw you hesitating to say it. I'll say
Yeah.
it for you.
I think
It's an insecurity thing. That's
100%
insecure.
and that insecurity is ultimately going to be planted into that man's girls, his daughters.
Yeah.
Like so. Yeah, like I want to be the best me, so that they can reflect hopefully the most admirable characteristics of who I am.
Sure.
Right? Like confidence is not arrogance, it's not boastfulness.
Yeah.
A confident person often can be the most quiet person in the room.
Sure.
Like they don't have to puff up their chest and improve themselves. The most confident person often sometimes like the kindest person.
Sure. Yeah.
Right? And so like kindness, empathy, discipline, like I want to work on myself every day so that they can see what it looks like to be a person who is on a constant journey of self-improvement.
Yeah.
Not with a destination of perfection. We're never going to be perfect.
Sure.
But just like a desire to be the best me. Like the things that I can do better today.
Yeah.
What can I do better today to be a better Mitch? Listen better. Right? Like I cannot turn off my excitement for life and the things that I'm working on. It's just like in me. I'm so pumped up about everything. But I need to be equally pumped up for what is important to Stella.
Yep.
Equally pumped up for what's important to June, which is pick her up, golly. Like when I walk in the room, I better pick up June.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
If
Hit me
she
off
don't
the
let
floor
you know.
now.
Yeah.
if I don't pick her up, it is like everything is falling apart. It's the cutest thing. Stella, like I walk in the room, I need to like test the water. Like, do you want me to give
The
you a kiss?
sassiness
Do you
is
want me
coming
to-
out, yeah.
Do you, like-
Can I please hang out with you? Please?
yeah, like the moment I
Please
stepped through
let
the door,
me?
June was like, "You better pick me up, Dad." The moment I walked through the door, Stella, it's like, "Hey, I love you. You good? You want me to tell you I love you?" Like,
Can we be friends? Yeah.
She'd be doing her own thing.
So funny.
So, yeah, man, just it's fun.
You said something about like the guys that and whether it's in fiction or in real life, show me a woman who says, my dad always wanted sons, and so I was raised like a tomboy or something, and I will show you somebody with a chip on their shoulder for their entire life. Right? Because they've spent their entire lives hearing their dad say, "I always wanted boys and I never got one."
Right. Yeah.
And that's somebody who's going to walk around for the rest of their life with a chip on their shoulder because they weren't what their dad wanted, which is
Right.
Feeling
just an
inadequate.
awful attitude to have. I hate that for that person.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, and then again, it's like, what's that snowball into with their kids?
Sure.
Right?
Dude,
I mean,
so
it
good.
just keeps going,
Yeah,
keeps going.
just
so.
It's a cycle.
generational blessings, generational curses. Like
Yeah.
there's things
It's a thing. Yeah.
that we do now that are going to last generations.
Yeah.
And so
I was so excited to have a girl, dude. I knew it was happening. Like I just knew that there was an inevitability that I was going to have a girl, and there were just none of them in my family. My wife with my mother. I've got one aunt, a couple of girl cousins, but it's mostly dudes all the way down. And so I was like, yeah, it's going to be
Just
a girl.
dudes.
And I'm going to have no idea what I'm doing, and I love every second of it. Like, I'm so excited
That's
for
so
that.
funny that
like,
that
the
was-
mystery of it.
Yeah, that was my experience too. So in my dad's family, there was, I want to say it was 17 or 18 boys
Yeah.
in like
Dang.
a 15-year period
Yeah.
before my sister was born.
That's awesome.
Right? It was just crazy.
Yeah.
That's-
And then my
wild.
sister, and then me, and then yeah. So it's funny that was your experience as well. But
We started to touch on sports.
yeah,
Let's talk about that.
yeah, let's go to it.
Because we've just got done talking about like the Friday Night Lights dad who was the star quarterback, but then his son's playing on the football team and he's in there living through his son.
Yeah.
Like that will be interesting for you because we've already alluded to it. You played college football. Your wife played basketball in college.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you guys are both athletes. And so everybody's going to expect your kids to be athletes, right? And so are you guys going to, I know you've already kind of alluded to the fact that we're not going to force sports.
Yeah.
If it comes, it comes. But how are you going to approach that if and when they do?
Yeah, so we're gonna provide the opportunity for them
Sure.
to play sports,
Right.
So
Inevitable, right?
but for a few reasons. One, for non-selfish reasons, which it would be cool to see Stella love
Of
playing
course.
whatever.
Yeah.
But for non-selfish reasons, like sports for me was foundational. It taught me
Absolutely.
discipline. It taught me leadership. It taught me how to win gracefully, lose gracefully. It taught me how to be a good teammate, a team player. Like, just so many character traits that I think are positive came as a result. Not that you can't get some of these character traits by
Other ways, sure.
theater or music or whatever, but there's something about like lining up on that like baseline and just running sprints that like put a fire in your belly and you learn
Mental
like,
toughness. I mean,
teach
yeah,
you how to be
yeah.
gritty,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because life throws you curveballs, and if you intentionally put yourself in difficult situations, then when life throws you a curveball and it's unintentional, you can handle it so much better because you're like, I voluntarily go run XYZ distance. I put myself through challenging workouts or go summit. Like for me, I love going and hiking 14 years in Colorado. Like I like doing ultra marathons. I like doing these things that really push myself outside my comfort zone so that when life throws a curveball, I'm gonna be like, listen, if anyone can handle this, I can do this, right?
Yeah.
I got that from sports,
Yeah.
Sure.
right? And so like we're gonna provide the opportunity for the girls to play sports, and we're gonna try and get them in, to our ability, the best setting that we can get them in to thrive. But at the end of the day, if they don't want to play basketball or do gymnastics or whatever the thing is, like
Yeah.
we just want them to fall in love with something to fall in love with that they can be passionate about. My parents are musicians, like they're music teachers.
Sure.
And so I have a tremendous amount of respect for anybody who excels in, frankly, any space. But like if you're a musician or you're an actor, actress, or whatever the thing is, and you excel at it, man, I have tons of respect for you.
Yeah.
Right.
So because it shows discipline,
Right.
right? So it's going to be super cool to watch the girls grow up, and if they like playing sports, for sure.
Yeah, of
Right.
course.
But like we just want to support them in whatever they want to do.
Are we
Right.
going to ask him the stereotypical question? What's the next question we always ask him?
We should. So will you coach your kids?
Thank you.
Oh, that's okay. So this is so funny. Okay, so
I'm so glad that you knew what I was talking about. That's awesome.
yeah, so,
We've done too many of these.
so
And if
Okay,
you don't,
I'm
Coach
gonna-
Will Amanda.
I'm gonna answer the question by first mentioning something unrelated. The YMCA offers 3-year-old basketball.
I just
Do
found
they
that out
really?
this year too. Yeah.
So we did it. And there's a big difference between someone who just turned 3, Stella, in October, and it started in October, I think, or September.
Sure.
And someone who, it's 3 and 4-year-olds play on the same team. The difference between a girl who just turned
Freshly
3
3-year-old and an almost 5-year-old.
and an almost 5-year-old boy is a big
right, yeah.
Oh, for
difference.
sure. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
So
that's a lifetime.
I
that age,
found
yeah.
myself.
Literally.
Do you guys know Cody Red Wing?
Sure. Yeah.
So
He's
Cody
been on
was
the
the
show.
coach.
Right,
Okay, Cody's a friend. He was the coach. Jordan Russell.
Yep.
You know Jordan, obviously.
Yeah.
Jordan was also Quinn was on the team, and I found myself spending more time sitting in the stands with Stella than I did because she just wanted to sit and hang out with me and watch the team play than being out there.
Oh, that's so
but
funny.
so what I had to realize is like, listen, I cannot ruin this
Right.
Sure.
for Stella.
Yeah.
Like because I'm forcing her against her will and she's bawling
Right.
to stand out on a basketball court.
Sure.
But so I don't want to ruin it for them, right? Because I'm competitive. I want them to have fun. Now, a good friend of mine was a basketball coach at Missouri State for a few years. He hasn't done that for the last 3 or 4 years. He's got 2 kiddos, and he's like, I will not coach them. Like, I will not coach my kids. He goes, now, I'm going to make sure that I get them on the very best teams that I possibly can, that they're, qualified to be on. But he was emphatic, and he was a collegiate coach. Like, I'm not going to coach them. I'm wrestling with it.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't know. My dad was... Now, I think when he was saying it, he was saying he's not going to be the head coach. He
Sure.
might consider being like an assistant coach.
He'll-
Like
he'll
my
be
dad
in the
was like the
room.
first base coach for our baseball team. He wasn't the head coach.
Sure.
He was just there to support. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
sold one way or like. I want to know what you guys, what
Well,
your
Amanda,
thoughts are.
well,
on it.
Amanda.
I don't know. I think she would be amazing at it. I think I could do a halfway decent job at
Yeah.
it. But
Right.
like, we're trying to figure it out.
That's an interesting perspective. I hadn't really thought of it from that angle, like not necessarily being the head coach,
Sure.
but being part of the coaching staff, whatever you want to call it, right?
And it's hard for guys like us that like we're driven professionals,
Yeah,
leaders.
but also
That's-
college athletes.
But
Yeah.
that's
Not a college athlete. I can tell
Yeah.
you with no uncertainty, I won't be a head coach. Period. Full stop. Because nobody's going to want me to coach their kids.
well,
But I want to be at the practices to help.
Oh, for
to
sure,
be
right?
involved, to be
Yeah.
that parent, and because again, be there for your kids.
Yes.
Be involved. I want to be involved, but I also fully recognize, because you got to know yourself first, that ain't my strength, pal.
Right.
Like. I only got good at football when I realized that you could just throw your body at somebody else, and that was the only reason I was any good. And I wasn't any
just
good.
sacrifice.
Yeah,
your body
exactly.
the
Literally, I was just the guy throwing my face at somebody else, and and I wasn't any good at that either. So
yeah, I'd say
that's
my
not coming from me.
my thing is more of just I know how competitive I can get,
Mm-hmm.
and like you were saying, I don't want to ruin it for my
Yeah.
kids to where
Yeah.
it's no fun for them anymore.
Because we
Right.
all know the dad who was losing his mind in the stands.
for sure, somebody
We're in our
immediately
30s
comes
and
to
we can
mind.
still
to
name that
everybody,
person.
right?
Oh,
yeah.
dude.
yeah.
And the one that, well, I'm just going to stop.
yeah. His name is
Everyone's going to be like, oh, I know that.
Because he's still here in town.
Yeah.
And his name is
So,
Ryan Dean's
we
dad.
all-
So, but yeah, I totally get it. We
I'm just full pause.
it's right on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah.
So much that I could,
Yeah,
So
I get
I
it.
don't want to be that dad.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because truly to this day, we're in our 30s and you can name that person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, or made it about themselves, or made it not fun. Because that was the other thing that we ran into, like during the coach pitch days of baseball. There were some dads that were out there, and they were, the whole point of coach pitch was, if once you get it back to the pitcher, the ball was dead, right? Like, do you
Yeah.
remember that? Like, you
Yeah,
get it back
yeah.
to the pitcher, the ball was dead.
Going way back.
And so, like,
Right?
well, and my dad and I joke about this all the time, because there was one dad who is still in Springfield that would never make an effort to actually catch the ball. And so it's me to the camera, and it's a 4-year-old throwing a baseball to him. He would put his glove like this, and if the ball was here, he wasn't going to catch it because it wasn't in his glove. And so his kid was going to win
Wow.
because they didn't. Well, what do you want me to do? He didn't throw the ball to me. And it was like, and it's
Right.
all these years later, I can tell you exactly who that dad is.
Yeah.
and I was 4, and I'm 35 years old.
I think so. Another thing, I'm so glad
Not
we're
4,
talking about
but
it because
you know what I
Close
mean.
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The people. So there's a book that I really like called Grit by Angela Duckworth, and in essence, she studies the most successful people in their field.
Yeah.
And you've heard of it?
Yeah, you talked about it on the podcast.
Yes. Yeah. So in essence, it's.
Your podcast, not this podcast.
Yeah.
Go listen
what
to
you
it. Yeah.
I'm like, did I talk about it?
Wait,
I
had
going
we
insane?
recorded that part yet? I'm not. Wait. hold on.
Wait a second. But in essence, she studies the most successful people in their field, and it wasn't their intellect, IQ, the wealth from their family lineage, or their Harvard education that determined their success. It was that they stuck with a given thing for such a long period of time, they just became an absolute expert in it, right?
Sure.
And they fell in love with that space. The same thing is going to apply in sports. If you just ruin it for your kids, they're not going to want to play, or they're not going to be passionate about it.
Yeah.
The kids that were on the basketball team that were the best were the ones that didn't just practice at practice,
Oh, right,
but the ones
yeah.
who were like, they were out in the yard
truly
dribbling,
enjoyed it,
shooting, because
right?
they were
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
loved it. And the kids that love it are often not the kids that their dad or mom is the one just breathing
Beating it
down
into
their
them.
neck saying, you got to do this, you got to do this. They just hate it.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, how do you foster that love of the game?
Was it
You
like
know?
the Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours, right? Like,
Yeah.
You can't become an
Yeah.
expert until you have 10,000 hours in a thing.
Absolutely.
Well, if someone's telling you have to do it, you're not going to want to do it.
Right.
Dude, we were talking about before this. It's like, I was talking to a buddy of mine he's got a super successful podcast, and he was like, I was 19 episodes in when I had he had 70 views or something, or downloads after 19 episodes. And it was like, that was a little demoralizing.
Sure.
Right, yeah.
But he's like, okay, 95% of episodes stop before their 100th
Yeah,
episode.
podcasts,
95% of podcasts stop before their 100th episode.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, the goal was just to get to episode 100 and fall in love with the process. By episode 70, he was just crushing it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, he learned to fall in love with the process, not beat himself up because he wasn't, you know, meeting certain metrics. The same thing applies in sports. Like,
Halfway
fall in
home,
love
baby.
with it.
That's right.
I'll just come right out and ask it. Every dad's got their favorite story about parenting,
Yeah.
whether it's about their kids or about a certain situation or something. I'm just going to ask, what's your favorite story?
So I hope it's funny for me.
Yeah,
And it's
which is
because
what I
I
want.
know, because, nobody knows their kids better than, the parents. And I know Stella is as sassy. She is like the art of the deal, like she is
Yeah.
the ultimate negotiator.
At 3.
It is ridiculous.
I
I
love
feel like
that.
I'm pretty good like at persuasion and negotiating and deal making and stuff. This girl is on another level. Okay.
Family business.
So we've got a little trampoline in our basement, and she's 2, maybe just turned 2. She's jumping, and I notice she has something in her mouth. I'm like, probably not. Like, I'm not like a super overbearing protective dad, but I'm
not
like,
a good idea.
probably not a good idea for a 2-year-old to jump with something in their mouth.
Uh-huh.
So I'm like, Stella, what is that? She goes, and she's jumping and kind of smiling. And then she sticks her tongue out, and she has a cough drop in her mouth.
Oh.
And I'm like, I don't think that would really harm her, but probably not a cough drop.
Yeah. That's
like,
probably not what you're supposed to have.
probably not. And before I can tell her anything, like she should or shouldn't have it, she goes, it's fine.
It's fine.
And that was it. And I'm like, and I had never heard
She
that.
could hear you having that internal
I had
monologue.
not said. I just asked, "What do you have?" And she could sense apprehension at 2 years old, and she goes, "It's fine." And I get it. I didn't get it. Like, I'm like, "What did you just say?" She goes, "Dad, it's fine." And
Right?
she was doing this every time. I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, I have got my hands full."
Yeah.
At 2, she's already given you the sass and the hand gestures. That's pretty
Yeah.
solid.
Oh,
So I was just like, dude, off to the races. I know this girl is
Yeah.
gonna give me a run for my money.
Well, and I'm telling you, we got to put our kids together in a room because I think
Right?
they would just be 2 peas in the
Yeah.
pod because
It'd be
that's
fun.
else.
And I think throw Brody in there too, because
Do it.
he's kind of similar to that. Because he started doing this thing now. He just turned 2, where like he'll want you to do something. Like he grabbed my hand the other day and he wanted me to sit by him, and he walks me over to the couch. He's like, "You sit right there." Okay.
oh,
Like assume the clothes, and I'm
yeah.
like,
okay.
"Whoa, who's the
Yeah.
adult here?" And it's like you're saying, it's
Whoa.
like,
Yeah.
man, they can already sense that at 2 years old. You're
Oh,
like,
it's so
what
much
is
fun.
going
The
on?
other one, is it okay if I
yeah,
share
please.
one
do
more?
know.
Please.
So my parents are where were let me just make sure I'm not going to tell a story if it's not 100% accurate.
No, of course.
So
We pride ourselves on our accuracy.
yeah,
by the way.
everything
Yeah.
we talk about is 100% real.
so we're in Colorado Springs. Fact check me, okay?
Bring it. Bring it
As if
on.
anybody can fact check my own family story.
I got his phone, guys.
I
It's
tell
right
the
here.
truth, guys. No, so we're in Colorado Springs this summer, I was doing a race out there, and mom and dad, my parents, Mimi and Papa, came and were watching their girls. And so they were taking Stella to one of the malls in Colorado Springs, and they're getting on the escalator. And apparently, before they got on, Stella loves to walk in front of the people. Like, she's just like, I'm walking in front,
I'm a strong,
leading,
independent
I'm doing
woman.
this. And she knows that Mimi and Papa are going to try to like hold her hand while they're getting on the escalator. And she turns around, holds out her hands, and goes, I got this.
It's okay.
And like she wasn't even 3 at the time. And I'm just like,
I love
she
that
goes,
so
I got
much.
She
this.
is
I love
confident.
that so
Where
much.
do you get these? Like, where do you get this from? Like,
That's so good.
So it's fun. Like, I just like, I pray for her, like truly every night. Like most every night I pray, like for Stella's future husband and for her friends and over her life and everything, so we pray together a lot. And,
but mostly for her future husband.
Right.
but I'm thinking to myself, like, I want, like,
That poor sucker.
Lord, I just
It's
pray
gonna
that
be
you
your
put the
problem now,
right
pal.
man in front of Stella, a godly man, an honoring man, honest, hardworking, all of these characteristics. But then I'm also like sprinkling some grace, too, because like he can get run
maybe a lot of grace.
over.
Patience of Methuselah, please.
Because I want this, like, I don't know, like. You think of like who you want to marry your daughter. I want this strong, confident, for me, godly, hardworking, disciplined, loving, gracious man. But it's like he's gonna need like a double. Like if he's gonna be those things,
Yeah.
he needs a double portion of like kindness, a double portion of patience,
Right.
a double portion of keeping your mouth shut. And just like,
shut up and just shut up. She'll run right over you. Just shut up.
yeah. So it's fun.
It's fun.
It's
I promise.
a journey.
Well, thanks for sharing
It's
those, man.
great.
Those were good. I guess we have to go to everybody's favorite part of the podcast, DC.
We probably should. Mitch, do you know what everybody's favorite part is?
I'm guessing it's
Dad joke of the week.
Oh, there
it
it
is. Time for everybody's favorite. I'm not going to put you on the spot this time. I'm going to make him go first. Derek, what
Okay.
kind of dad joke did you bring?
Yeah. Well, I'm sure. I know I've seen this on Facebook and stuff, and I'm sure you guys have seen where it's like ridiculous state laws, right? Where it's
sure.
like this state
There's
has
all kinds of them.
this stupid dumb law from
Okay.
way back when,
Mm-hmm.
right? Did you guys know that this is Hawaii's state law? Did you know that you cannot, and it's actually illegal to laugh loudly in the state of Hawaii?
really
Go on.
why?
It's a aloha state.
Whoa.
Get it? Aloha state.
Favorite reaction we've had to a dad joke.
Whoa, because
Whoa.
it was that good. That's why he said that.
That's
I'm
my
like,
favorite reaction to a dad joke we've ever had. Whoa.
As in, he's impressed.
I'm like,
okay?
we're really trying to figure out how to respond to this. What's the appropriate response? Emotional, like we always like emotional intelligence is more important than IQ in regards to like
Yeah.
success of anything. Like,
It's all
what's
about
the
EQ.
emotionally intelligent way to respond?
What's the best response?
Things that
Let me
make you
be-
go.
Whoa.
Mitch, do you have one that you like? Do you have one in the back in your back pocket?
So
Give me a whoa one.
you finna whoa. So do you know why there's only 239 beans in Irish bean soup?
No.
Yeah.
Because one more would be too farty.
40.
Whoa.
Wow.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
My father-in-law shared that one with me, and he shares it regularly. Like
Too farty.
It's a family joke.
Too farty.
Love it. All right, we'll finish this off.
I was washing my car with my daughter the other day. She's generally not a big fan, and I don't really understand why.
Have you washing your car?
Yeah, I don't know. She just doesn't like. I was washing my car with Elsie, and she just didn't like it. She stopped me and said, "Dad, can't you just use a sponge?" Bad jokes all around.
I was hoping you were going to say you were doing it
really
like
good at this.
Jason Kelsey style and shirtless, and she's
Yeah.
getting embarrassed for you. but-
That, by the way, Liv told me. By the way, you're not allowed to do anything else for Halloween. That's what you have to be for Halloween.
Yes.
Is shirtless Jason Kelsey
Dude,
at
they're
the
so funny.
at the Chiefs game.
Love them.
Oh.
Love them.
Yeah. Those two together are
You
hysterical.
know what? Amanda was telling me apparently, like, and it makes perfect sense. Like, the Taylor Swift thing with Travis is like bringing like so many young girls want to watch football with dad now that had no interest in football before, and I'm like, that's super cool.
To the point where I've been trying to get Taylor Swift playing in the car so that I can watch more football. Yeah, 100%.
Well, it's just a conversational piece for daughters and dads,
So
and
cool.
to kind of intermingle those
Something to
two,
interact over.
two things,
100%.
So yeah,
By the way, it hasn't worked. All we're listening to is Wheels on the Bus and Old McDonald.
give it a couple years.
I'm,
Give it a couple
I'm
years.
trying. Dang
Those
it.
are classics.
Yeah. Wrap
Those
it
are
up.
classics.
Yeah. Well, we got to say, be sure and go out to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
That's right.
and
All of 'em.
like, share, subscribe on all those. Mitch, man, thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah,
this
buddy.
has been
This has been
Absolutely,
fun.
man.
This is a good
better
time.
than expected. I think I've laughed more this
They're like,
episode.
we had really low expectations for you, man.
But you owed us, Mitch. You owed us, okay?
Whoa. Yeah. Hide your kids, hide your wife.
I love it. Is there anything you want to plug before we roll out?
Can I plug? Like,
Please,
where
go
okay,
right
so
ahead.
like just launched the Rise podcast, so we're on Spotify.
Go
gonna
check
be
it
on
out.
The podcast app on YouTube, Mitch_Jenkins_ on Instagram, and thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Good.
I laugh. I laugh a little bit on my podcast too, but I laughed a little bit more. on this
I love it.
podcast.
Fair enough.
So it was fun.
Good, man. I appreciate you being here. I guess all we really have to say now is way to go, decent dad.
Oh,
Great
thank
job,
you. I'm
Mitch.
so glad that you
There
consider
you
me
go,
a
boys.
decent dad.
All right. Unless anybody else has anything else.
I got nothing.
All right, that'll do it. We'll see you next time.
Hey, fun fact about Topo Chico.
What's that?
Costco sells 16-ounce bottles instead of 12-ounce
Ooh,
bottles.
fancy.
Yeah,
Really?
Yeah. So
More
if you're
bang
trying
for
to,
the buck.
trying to get a little more hydrated,
The Moinia.
get them
Get a
at
little Moinia.
Costco.